The next repair we're going to do is an epoxy repair. Remove the epoxy from the tube. I like to slice off that kind of crusty part that's on the end there, and that's going to expose a two-color epoxy. Now, one color is the putty and the other color is the activator, and they're actually separated by a micro membrane. You definitely don't want to pinch off the amount of putty that you need. We like to slice that off. So let's get a corner here that we can replace, and I'm just going to take my knife and cut the corner off of this panel. Okay, so we've got a corner that's cut off, and we want to replace that. So what I'll do is I'm going to slice off, just like cookie dough, a little bit of material. Now there's a small plastic membrane on the outside that I'm going to remove, kind of like a bologna wrapper. And we're going to take and mix this until it's one consistent color. We don't want to have any marbling in the color. We want it all one color. I want to look at it every once in a while, and it still has a little bit of marbling to it, so I want to mix it until we have one color. This will ensure that the material dries properly. If you pinch it off, you'll distort the amount of hardener to resin, and your repair will not dry properly. So now that we have this mixed and it's all one color, we're going to apply it to the corner. Now, if it's a very large repair, we might actually even put a finish nail in, or a finish trim screw. It's a little bit of rebar for that to help support the corner. I'm going to take off a small amount and press it onto the corner. Now, one of the things that I didn't do that I'm going to go ahead and do right now is add a piece of masking tape to this. This will help protect the existing finish from some of the sanding and leveling that we're going to do. So now that we have that in place, I'm going to continue, and I'm going to add the material onto the corner. And I want to make sure that I don't round it off or dub it off, because I want to make that nice sharp corner again. So I get the material in place, and we're going to leave it alone for a few minutes. Now, this excess material I don't just throw away. I roll it up into a ball, and I'm going to set that aside. This is going to take about 8 minutes to cure. We're going to stop the video while that's going on. When I come back, I'll check this first to see if the material is hard enough to work. So this is kind of a little test piece that we have, so that we're not disturbing the corner and having to start over with the repair. Okay? Okay, we've let our epoxy cure now for about 5 or 6 minutes. We're going to take and test our sample piece, and it's good and hard. So now we can go ahead and sand our corner down to a sharp corner. I'll use a 100 grit, 150 grit sandpaper to level this. The reason that we put the masking tape on is that that's a sacrificial surface, so that we don't damage our existing surface. So we're going to sand this, and the material is going to powder up for us if it's cured and dried. We'll go ahead and sand this down flush with the masking tape. I like to stop every once in a while and make sure that I haven't burned through the masking tape. If I do, I simply pull it off and put a new piece of masking tape on the surface. We're going to go ahead and sand this down to the level of the masking tape. We want to be real careful not to round that corner off, because we want a nice sharp corner on the repair to replace that corner that was missing. A lot of times we can repair a cabinet door that's maybe been dropped and the wood gets kind of puffed up and pushed up out of the way. We want to make sure when we trim that we trim off all the raised area so that we can get a nice level repair. The size of the repair you can do with epoxy is really quite large. If we had a large corner that we were trying to repair, we could actually even put some brads or staples into that corner, or even a trim screw below the surface of where the repair is going to finish. And that would actually give us a little bit of reinforcement for that. I'll go ahead and sand this sharp. We have a nice sharp corner now. I'm going to remove the masking tape. And you see we haven't damaged the finish at all. Now there is a little bit of a lip there, and what we're going to do with that is we're going to take a razor knife, extend the blade out just a little bit, and we're going to come in and shave that off. Just let the blade kind of rest along the finish line, the surface, and we'll pare that off. And shave that right down. Now we have an extremely level repair there. Very little sanding is going to be required to finish that up. We can take a little bit of 600 grit sandpaper, and now that corner is perfectly level and flush. We've minimized the amount of touch-up that we have to do just to the epoxy, and in another video we will apply the color.